when it comes to water, water is very region specific. It is local to where we are present. So if we are using water, if we are extracting water in a particular region, say as I said example, the industry present in Chennai is extracting water for their purposes, for their production process, then the interventions or the water conservation activities need to be taken up by the industry within the same region. Then only the water within the water in that region would be secure, and depletion of water in that particular region can be arrested, and the water sustainability can be ensured, so that risk can be mitigated. That is what talks about the next principle, which is neutralizing the impact within the same watershed. In the watershed in which the plant is present, the interventions and activities need to be done in the same watershed, so that we will also be able to benefit. The industry also has assurance, or they will be able to mitigate the risk by knowing that they are enhancing the water availability for their future in the same area in which where they are located, so that they don't need to worry much in future on where will they source my water from. Next concept talks about source diversification. So depending on the water quality requirement that is needed for the industry, fresh water is what majority of us are using. But as when the recycle and reuse is picking up, and most of the industries are enhancing the recycle and reuse percentage, but that is a good approach. But it also talks about diversifying the source. Instead of depending on just one source, say fresh water, we need to diversify the source to other areas, as in rainwater harvesting, and as it had been mentioned by the in the session of the CMWSSB chairman, like the supplying the TTRO, treated water, to industries. So not just depending on one particular source, we diversify the source to different areas. This is simply to give an analogy, it is on financial risk. So when we do investing or when we do financial investments, we don't pull all our money into one single fixed deposit or one single mutual fund or a stock. We diversify it to different areas, so that even if one area fails, or even if we have a loss in one area, then we will be able to balance it or mitigate it the other area. This water neutrality principle also talks about the same concept, as in instead of being dependent on only one particular single source, if we diversify our source to 3 or 4 areas or more than that, then we will be able to mitigate the risk and have a water secure future in which there is an assurance and reliability of water supply which is there for the industry, so that business continuity can go on. The next principle talks about mapping, monitoring and measuring, in which all the water usage and data is mapped, the water quality is also measured, and the monitoring mechanisms are in place to ensure the ecosystem health is also maintained, and the sustainability is also ensured. Then comes the next concept of, then the doubt will occur to all of us. Okay, I have done my assessment, so I am certified as water neutral or water positive. Is it fine? Like, how long is it valid? Or can I use this? Like, is it a one-time process? No. As we all know, water audit is not a one-time process. So it's to continuous improvement. We do audits continuously so that we can improve continuously to reduce our water use efficiency. Similarly, water neutrality certification has a temporal context. When the assessment is done, the year in which the assessment is done, based on that current usage, we certify the plant or the industry as water neutral or positive. Then that is valid for 3 years. Then further, after 3 years, if they want to be recertified, like they want to know their status again, they need to undertake one more assessment. But since we already did a detailed assessment in the starting phase, then the document will be we will have a documentation, we will know what is the current status. Then based on that, after 3 years, they can do one more small assessment, like a quick assessment to undergo and know what is the status after 3 years. Are they still water positive, or have they increased their water positivity? Have they increased the water that they've given back to the ecosystem? So then the last principle talks about the elements of credit and debit. So Credit and debit in simple terms is credit is the total water usage that we are, debit is the total water usage that we are using. The fresh water that is required and used either in the form of direct water or in the form of virtual water for running the business or running the industry for our process operations. The credits are the interventions that are done. How much of water is given back, how much of water availability is enhanced in the ecosystem. All these are based on the 3M7R approach, the mapping, monitoring, measuring and reduce, recycle, rejuvenate. All these are present in the water neutrality framework guidelines of NITI Aayog, which is present in the website. Next, there are how to undertake this certification. It is a 3-step process. There are 3 scopes: scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3. When finally the scope 3 assessment is done, that is when they will be certified. So does it mean that I will be getting my certification only when I reach scope 3, or during the process of assessment will I not have any certification, or will I not have any report, or will I not have any understanding of what I am doing, what is my current process? It's not like that. There are 3 scopes, so it's a 3-step process. I will explain the 3 steps in the further slides. So the first step focuses on operational efficiency gains maximization, that is improving water use efficiency within the plant, that is within the fence. Second talks about the sustainability of the supply chain, operational sustainability. So yes, we have created the baseline. How sustainable is it? Is my supply chain sustainable? Will I be at risk due to my supply chain? Or will I be at risk due to my interventions not falling within the watershed? Or how should I improve my interventions so that I can have the benefit of positivity? The last scope talks about the it's just verifying and validating all the data to have so that we have a third-party certificate. So all the 3 stages has a certification in them, which is aspiring, raising and achieved. So when scope 1 assessment is completed, the industries get an aspiring certification, which will be given to them, awarded to them in the Water Innovation Summit, which happens in November every year. In Delhi, we do Water Innovation Summit, in which water awards are given to industries. In the same way, water neutrality certificates will be provided. So we have aspiring, rising and achieved. So till now, we have provided, achieved like water positive certification to Infosys Bangalore, and scope 1 certification have been given to other industries also. Certain other industries like which we are also projects which are undergoing are on Tata Power, on renewable energy, Renew Power, and also on Hindalco. So at each stage you get a certification so that you have a validation and a report on what is your current status. So when we look at scope 1, aspiring certification, what does it include? The scope 1 includes measuring your direct water consumption. What is the it is the part of the water audit and water balance, but one difference in this is that this is not an audit, or this is not a compliance view of perspective. It is an assessment. It is we do hand-holding process to industries to let them know what is their current usage, what are the gaps, how can the gaps be addressed by them. It is not doing an audit from a compliance or a legal perspective and finding faults. No, the water neutrality certification is to enable industries to become water secure and mitigate the risk, and to provide and enhance the water availability in the region they are present. So it is all based on their own data, and also based on your own usage what they are doing. So based on the 7 principles, we measure the water quantity that they are using. So the outcome of the phase 4 scope 1 certification would be how much of water you are using. So neutrality in simple is how much water you are withdrawing, fresh water, how much fresh water we are withdrawing. So the equal amount of fresh water needs to be given back to the ecosystem through water conservation initiatives. And is quantity alone enough? No. We might be extracting water at very good quality water at maybe suppose TDS of 100 or 120. It can be through groundwater or treated water or anything, but fresh water with a good quality is what we are using for our own process. So then if the plant doesn't have a ZLT, but they are reusing it, and then they are allowed to discharge based on the consent to operate. discharge quality of water would also be measured. So the water neutrality is not neutral in terms of only quantity, it is also neutral in terms of quality. So the water quality of discharge of our wastewater would be compared with the ecosystem quality or the quality of the fresh water that they are using. And then we will also give you the quality offset. So how much of quality improvement needs to be done in the wastewater so that the standards are met. So this will help the industry to know what is the current status. And also we will delineate and define the assessment unit where the water industry is present. These establishes the baseline. So the operational efficiency part, I think most of us would be aware of. So I've already explained it in the previous slide. I'll go to the second part, which is the operational sustainability, which is more important and which is part of the guidelines, which is new concept. It is on delineating the watershed. Here, as you can see, the orange dot represents the location of the industry. So after doing the assessment, the industry would be able to know where particularly what is the watershed within which the industry is extracting water for their operational uses daily. So this will give them an idea on where they need to plan and focus their interventions so that they will get the benefit of achieving water positivity, which will in turn help and incorporate them in the ESG and sustainability goals of the organization, which will help them in the regulatory process. So this red line represents the watershed boundary. So here the orange dot is the industry and the red line represents where the industry is located. So all the interventions that and the sources for the industry needs to be present within the red boundary, which we will be mapping them in the scope 1 process. So not only defining the boundary, we also characterize the watershed. So what is the status of the watershed in which the industry is present? What is the slope and elevation? What is the soil type? What is the land use, land cover? What is the rainfall? So based on that, the industry will have an idea and they can plan much better on how they need to plan the interventions so that water availability for the watershed is enhanced. We do all this using WattScan, digital tool which is developed by CII Water Institute and also field visits. Then we map the sources of water. So as you can see here in the enhanced image, the brown boundary represents the plant or the industry and the green dot represents the sources which the industry is using. This will give an idea on where the sources is located. Is it located within the watershed? It can also be a point that we don't have an own source. We are dependent on a third party vendor. Suppose we get municipal supply or we get water from a tanker which extracts the water from a different place. So though location of those third party vendors, where it is located, whether it is located in the same watershed or it is not located in the same watershed. Since the water neutrality principle talks about the interventions in the same watershed. The water that is being extracted in one watershed needs to be given back in the same watershed, not in a different watershed. Then only water will be available in future and it will be sustainable for all of us in the future. Not only the sources, the interventions which are done, which are already been undertaken through CSR, the water related interventions are already undertaken by the industries. Where do they fall? Do they fall within the watershed or are they outside the watershed? If they fall within the watershed, it is well and good. They will be used for the elements of water neutrality assessment. But if they fall outside, then the industry will have an idea and they will be able to better plan their interventions to fall within the watershed so that they get the benefit for water neutrality. Then the scope 1 output is the quantity, quality and assessment unit identification. So in this we have current and future. So present is what is the present status. In future is based on the assessment we will be able to give improvements for water use efficiency. So if those recommendations are implemented, what will be the future offset? What will be the future amount that they need to offset through the interventions? Then you will be able to know what is the status of your sources and interventions. Whether their sources have been mapped, whether the monitoring mechanism is in place to ensure the sustainability of the sources, and whether documentation is present, and whether measuring of these sources and interventions is being done. This will help the industry to know an idea of scientifically on what is the status of their sources and interventions. Then what is the gap, how to address the gap so that they can become water positive, or so that they can become water neutral, and they can achieve water positivity, which they